All right, now y'all wanted to know about investment property photography, so here we are. This is the investment property that I am shooting today, and I'm gonna be shooting these with single exposure, multiple flash, just as I've talked about before. Now, I've done a video about this a long time ago, but I saw a lot of you commented under my last video where I answer everyone's questions, so I thought maybe this would be a good time to do this also. Let's see. Let's just come down right here. All right, so I'm only going to show you a couple rooms because that's really all the information you need. I'm going to show you this, the great room, because this is going to be the hardest one to do with a single exposure. Then I'm going to show you something easier like this primary bedroom right here. And then lastly, I'll show you something that's in between these two. That's like, this is kind of like half bathroom and laundry room and rest of bathroom over here. So we got a couple things to get to, and let's get straight into this big room first, right? All right. Here we go. I've got you. Let's go back over here and we're gonna get straight into it. Now, the very first thing I'm gonna do right now is actually, I'm just gonna take a base exposure so you can see what this shot looks like with 0 strobes added. And boom, that was it. That was it. I keep my camera on a 2-second timer, just in case. So there's the base exposure. And let's talk about what I'm gonna do in this situation. So we have this giant room, as you can see from the picture, but we're not gonna be able to see everything from that. We are gonna be able to see into this space. So I'm gonna come in here. See this guy right here? R2 zoom. Flash point all the way, flash point and Godox, that's what I use the most of. And look, I'm gonna put it on the door facing up towards the wall this way, so it reflects the light back into this space because this is the area I can see from in here. All right, now, see this area over here? This is the area that's gonna get dark when I fire my strobe off from over here. So that means I have to hide a strobe somewhere in this area to add a little more light. And what I'm gonna do here, let's see if this makes sense to you. I'm gonna open this up right here, turn on my R2 Zoom Mini. This is another one of my strobes. I carry 2 of these, one of the big ones and one 8200. I'm gonna put this down to like a 16th power, put it straight down, and then I'm gonna close the door a little bit. So there you go. You can't even see it from right here. There it is right there. It's gonna flash down and then illuminate up here. All right, so now we're going back up into this front corner, exactly right here. We are going to be looking out into the room. I'm gonna be using my 8200 over here, and I am not gonna be pointing this out into the room. I'm going to be extending this out, keeping it out of the frame, pointing it at the top corner of the room. I'm trying to use this corner of the room as a giant reflective surface to push light back this way into the room over here. So that's gonna look a little bit like this. Technical difficulties, hold on. I gotta put this thing on correctly. All right, sorry about that. Some technical difficulties. I forgot to attach my trigger all the way. All right, here we go. Let's do this. So I'm gonna come over here, push this, and boom, just like that. And you can see the shot right there. Now, I can see just by looking at this, I actually need to change my frame up a little bit. Let's go this way just a tiny bit. Zoom in a little bit. Make sure we got our focus set correctly. And just like before, boom, look at that. And that is, well, that is our single exposure for this first part of the image. Now, what I'm gonna do is, let's set this guy right here like this, because actually, let's set it right here. There we go, because I'll take a shot of this room and you'll be able to see everything from this perspective instead. All right, just like before, the goal is to point the light backwards and not into the room, but away from the room, using that wall as a large reflective source. Let's do it. First thing, base exposure. Boom, just like that. You can see exactly what I'm talking about. Now, if you want to get fancy and be able to see completely through the windows and not have that small little white line in the window, I don't worry about it for investment properties. Maybe you want to, I'll show you how to do that right now. So if you want to make that happen, it's really easy. Leave all your camera settings the exact same, except for when I'm using this AD200, pointing it back at the wall, I'm using it at about half power. What I'm going to do this time is move out of the way. I'm going to point this directly at the window at about an 1/8 power, and you'll see that right now. And there we go. If you can see, the goal is to kind of make the white around the door and windows around the same exposure, so your window pull is super easy back in post. All right, let's move on to the medium room. Okay, actually, before we move on to that next room, let's show you what it's like to shoot this room, but from the other side, because if you come from this view, you'll be able to see it actually looks different. There's more windows, there's a different hallway. I'm gonna have to light things a little bit differently. So let me show you what I got. First thing is I moved my big R2 zoom. It's in this hallway like this, facing towards a wall I will not see in the shot. So hopefully the light reflects in this area and comes back to this area where I'll see it. Now I have also moved our flash in the kitchen. As you can see, it's now over here where it's not going to be in the shot at all. It's pointing at this wall to reflect back this way. And the very last light, we're going to put another one of these zooms in here in the bathroom because I can see this area too. So I'm just going to set it over here, pointing at that wall because I can just see a little bit of this. All right, I'm going to set this down right here. Boom, there we go. All right, let me set up my shot. And here is the base exposure of this shot. And here is the single exposure. Boom. There you go. You can see exactly what that looks like. Now I've showed you 2 different ways to light this big room. So let me finish doing this whole area and then we'll go into that space I promised just a moment ago. All right, so I thought I was going into that space, but you know what? Let me just show you more. More is better, right? You want to see exactly how to do it in every angle. Now this part, the dining room, it's going to be super easy because we're only going to need 1 strobe and it's pretty tiny. Let me show you how I do that. Now for this one, I don't even need to take the base exposure because I can see straight through the window. I'm only going to need this single one and I'm pumping this up to full power and I'm going to be facing it back that way, not at the space I'm shooting. Here we go. Just like that, and you can see that exposure. Don't need to take that one again. Now I'm actually going to set things up and move towards the kitchen. You'll notice when I shoot the kitchen, I always raise my camera up so that way I can't see under the cabinets. That's my only goal. All right, y'all, I'm taking the base exposure right now. Let's show you where all my strobes are. How about that? So we're back into the bedroom where we were earlier. Just like before, strobe up there on the door facing this way to light this area, but this time I'm going to be able to see a little bit of this room. I can't see any of this part. I can only see this part. So I've got my strobe here, facing here to bounce light back that way. Hopefully all that makes sense. Here we go. I'm going to go set you down and I'm going to take this shot. Just like before, I think I'm going full power on this one. Boom. There we go, that's perfect. And from this exact same angle, I'm now gonna zoom in a little bit and take the next shot. This is why I like working with the zoom lens, the 12 to 24, as opposed to primes, me personally. And just like before, I'm going full power, but I'm coming further up with it so I can hit that part of the wall. There we go. Let me move this a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. I'm now going to be taking a straight shot of the sink area. All right, finally got that set up. Like always, check your focus before you take your shot. And this one is definitely, let me come over here. So hopefully there's not as much reverb in this house because it's an investment property, right? So I'm gonna be facing it back again, but as you know, hold on, let me just pick you up to show you. Over here, there's a whole lot of space that this light has to reverberate back from. So I'm definitely gonna go full power on this one. But luckily, since it's hitting all that space, when it reverberates back, it will be nice and soft and pretty with no harshness, which is one of the things I always like. Here we go. All right, now you'll notice in that shot that I have a big streak across the window, which I personally don't like and or want, so I'll keep it to, if I can keep my word straight. Got a streak on the window, don't like it. I'm gonna take that shot a couple more times. Perfect. All right, here we go. We're gonna set up this shot looking this way. And luckily we don't have to move any of the lights for this one. We are just gonna rock and roll on it just like before. And that's what it looks like. Now, hopefully I've been showing you these images the whole time, not only what I'm taking, but also what they look like after I edit them. So I'm going to finish up this little space and move into that space I said I would shoot earlier. Actually, you know what? Let's just shoot the bedroom because it's pretty much next. And it's gonna be pretty easy. Let's move my stuff. We don't need this light over here anymore. Boom. Set you down. I don't need this anymore. All right, everything in here looks good. Just like we did in this other spot over here, we're not actually gonna use anything for this first shot, but a single strobe, the most powerful one. And you'll notice, I'm gonna point it back again. I always point it back. The only time I ever point my strobe into the room is when I'm doing a window pull or when I'm trying to get accurate colors for an editor. Sometimes I'll do a little bit off the ceiling, but that's a different case. Now, all right, since I'm going in there, I'm leaving the kitchen, so I'm gonna take my tripod and put it back down. All right, I'm gonna move y'all in here so you can see what I'm doing. Let's see, can you see right there? There we go. You can see me perfectly, but you probably won't be able to hear me very well. Here we go. Actually, I'm gonna open these drapes real quick. Hold on. Much better. All right, here we go. First thing I'm gonna do is my base exposure for you. All right, here we go, and let's fire it off. Now, let's shoot this room from a different angle. First things first, base exposure. Well, I had one strobe go off during that. All right, how'd you like that spin move? Now, for this one, you can see this entire room right here, and you'll be able to see into this area that I was talking about earlier. So, time to hide some strobes. Where'd I put my big boy? There he is. We're going to take this one, and since this is the biggest space, it will require the biggest light, but it's not going to require full power. I'm going to go about quarter power, setting it right there. The other one, I'm going to come stick in here. I'm going to put it right here on this window ledge, and this one is actually, I'm going to put it up here. And this one's going to be closer to eighth power. It may be quarter power as well, since it's about half as powerful as that, but we'll all see what it looks like. Here we go. Let's put this right here, and I'm going to shoot. All right, just took the shot. I need to go in there and reduce the power of one light, increase the power of another, and then also increase this one back up to about half. Bellissimo, or perfect, in my opinion. Let's do the next one. All right, now, for this shot, this is that room I showed you. This is probably a medium difficulty room because we've got 3 spaces here that we're trying to light all real close to one another. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is set up our shot, make sure everything looks good. Then we're gonna go around and we're gonna adjust these lights. Now, luckily for me, the light that I set up in here earlier for that last shot, well, we're gonna leave that right where it is. Then we're gonna come in here and we're gonna set the bad boy right here up, just like that. Once again, not facing into the room, facing out of the room, so it reflects back into it. Here we go, and in here is where I'll be using my AD200. Just like that, it's perfect. One shot. What do you know? Well, I think that's about it. I'm gonna finish shooting the rest of this house, and then I'll jump back into the studio to talk about what you've learned or what I've taught you, hopefully. I'll see you in just a second. All right, actually, let me show you one more shot before we leave this investment property, because this is one that I do a lot and I can give you a really good tip here. So we've got this view. We're looking out here because we want to show how the kitchen connects to the living room, but we don't have anywhere to hide a light because that area is going to be dark. So what I do instead is I crop off a little bit of this room because seeing all of this isn't really important. Seeing how that connects to this is important. So I've got a strobe right over here, once again facing at this wall, that will bounce all of that light back this way. And this is what that shot looks like. You're welcome. All right, y'all. That's about it for the tutorial, really. Hopefully I covered everything you wanted me to cover. Like I said, single exposure images. I'm going to try something new. I'm trying to make some iced Turkish coffee, which is insane, right? The answer is yes, it's insane. But that's about the gist of it. That's everything I have. That's all the questions that I've gotten so far. I specifically answered throughout all this, so I will probably tag your comments if, of course, you have left one before, so that way you know that I just answered them. Thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. All that. Please comment down below. Questions, anything like that. Always community stuff. You know how it is. You are the bloodline of this channel. What you want to see, I'm going to make. So I already know what my next few videos are going to be about because I keep getting asked about them. But please comment down below. Let me know what else you want to see or anything I might not have answered to the best of my abilities, I guess, or not to the best of your liking. Either way, you know how it is. Keep rock and roll. Enjoy what you're doing. Make smart business decisions. And think about buying some of my coffee that I'm getting ready to make. I'll catch you next time. For sure. I think the next one you're going to like just as much as this one. There we go. Look at that, right to the mark. Man, I told you I didn't need no scale, sigh.
I'm just that good, brother. Boom!